Why isn't this on video? Why isn't this on? Is this still recording? Good. Whoa, I want this in there. So uncomfortable talking about himself. You see this?
I'm not uncomfortable talking about myself. I just thought you were going to give me a compliment and say something nice, which you don't ever do.
Why are you reacting this way? Just come tell me why it was so uncomfortable. This is how a podcaster really operates. All right? This is what, your 12th interview? It's cute. Cute.
He had equity, status, and a future most people would envy. But when Jamie Gruber stepped into a new identity, the life he built around the old one started falling apart.
2021, I quit my job. When I quit my job, I had to give back almost $1 million in equity.
Because he chose a new identity, a personal brand over safe success.
I know I made all of that back, income and equity-wise. I made all that back and more. But more than that, man, I gave myself time, freedom, alignment with who I truly am.
Today, companies give him equity just to promote them because he knows who he is and owns it out loud.
Goldman Sachs recently wrote an article about a year ago saying that the creator economy is going to double from $250 to $500 billion by 2027. By 2032, it'll be at $1 trillion. You know what else is at $1 trillion or a little bit more? Pharmaceuticals. If you could get into pharmaceuticals, would you laugh at it? No. You would say, boy, that's a serious, serious business. The asset class of brand is the next frontier. It's the fastest growing industry in the world. Yeah. But too many people, I think, that have businesses and they see the ability for social media to build that business, they go right to they do. You know, they don't want to be an I or a we in that. They go right to them. I'll hire the team. I'll bring in the people. We'll do the thing. You got to I do, we do, they do.
This is Jamie Gruber. You've done a really good job of reprogramming your software. Most people, when you guys were moving to the Dominican, said, like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Most people, when you were leaving your W-2, I'm assuming, I wasn't there, said,
you're nuts.
Terrible idea. Yeah. You're nuts.
Yeah.
Now here you are living what I perceive to be, just through the conversations we're fortunate to have, like your life, like the life you've always dreamed of having. You're sharing your message, you're influencing people, you're inspiring people. What role did Gobundance play for you on that journey?
I mean, it was everything. It was the catalyst, the foundation, the support, the normalization that you could do things differently. I mean, look, I always say this when people are thinking about Gobundance, right? It's like, okay, look, you have a pod, this group of guys you meet with every week, you know, multimillionaire, successful dudes that are just driven, amazing guys to be around. The year I joined Gobundance was the first year ever that I spent 52 times a year getting my goals in front of multimillionaires that held me accountable. I'd never done that before, right? So from that point forward, the last 6 years, I've spent 52 times a year getting feedback from multimillionaires about my goals. Everything changes. How can it not? Think about that. Just think about that concept, right? Yeah. If I said to you right now, Matt, hey, there's 5 of these guys, super successful. They want to meet with you every week, but you got to bring your goals. You got to share what you want to do. And then they're going to kind of hold your feet to the fire on the stuff that you say you want to do. You got to go to lunch with them once a week for an hour. Would you go? Of course you would. Yeah. Everybody would. You'd pay for lunch.
Yeah.
That's Gobundance.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You'd pay for that lunch every week. It would add up to whatever the tuition is. And you meet with guys once a week. There's a whole bunch of other things to Gobundance, but that's Gobundance. So for me, to get in a room, I believe, so identity is, I think, what is at the crux of this. I think so many people get identity wrong. Identity is, I think, associated with when I have it, then I will be. I think identity is a shift you make now and then the result lags. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Pregnancy is a great example of this. Yeah. The moment your wife was pregnant with your first, how many do you have now? 7? How many kids do you have?
13.
13.
No, 3.
I know you have 3. The moment your wife became pregnant, my wife became pregnant, I was doing parent shit.
Yeah.
Because my identity instantly became parent.
Yeah.
I read that book.
Yeah.
Born Protestant, born again Catholic, or whatever the hell it is. I read that book when my wife was pregnant with our first kid. That's almost 10 years ago now. Holy fuck, time flies. But I read that book because it was like, wait a minute, I have a person that's going to become. So I had the identity of being a parent. But if you look at the definition of a parent, the kid wasn't born.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a parent yet.
Right.
But 9 months later, the result lags. You shift your identity, the result lags. You step into a room and you just sort of start going down that way when you're in that room of the identity. And I also, you get in a God universe, believe that God and the universe will sabotage everything that's not your identity in your life, which is painful when you stake claim to a new identity. So when I said I'm going to be an entrepreneur, or I am an entrepreneur, or I am a real estate investor, or I'm a guy, my big vision was to travel 3+ months with my family anywhere in the world. When I claimed that identity, it was thanks to Gobundance. Because Gobundance doesn't look at guys in Gobundance don't care about my past. They don't care about where I've been. They care about holding me accountable to where I'm going.
Yeah.
So when I stake my claim to that identity, and then I've got these guys around me that only know me for the identity I've claimed, not for the actuality of where I am right now, W-2 guy, executive with a company, yada, yada, yada. Like that was everything. Now, all of what I did all of the actions I took were being pushed, supported by whatever, these guys. And the best example of this, I think, is, and this is the thing on accountability. I think when somebody comes into Gobundance or just is talking about getting accountability, I think the belief is, and I believe this, when it's like every week is going to be a bitch slapping, and I need it. Bitch slap me. I need to be like pushed forward. Yeah. Every week's going to be epic. But the reality is, you jump into this group of guys. Every week's a little different. Sometimes it's like, it's really deep and you get this massive push. Other times, maybe you're focused on somebody else for the entirety of the hour and a half you're on a call. But the value that I've gotten is, okay, here are my goals. Let me start taking action toward it. Every week we're talking about it. It's always front of mind. I'm always doing things. And those little things that I'm doing week after week, month after month, even year after year, lead to an inflection point. That is where Gobundance has made the difference for me. January 2021, February 2021, I quit my job. When I quit my job, I had to give back almost $1 million in equity because I had restricted stock units. When I went to my pod with this idea that I was going to quit my job, it was, guys, I know I should. I got to give $1 million. That's just not the right decision for me. I got to find something better, right? I was ready to retract back to old me.
Yeah.
One of the guys, at least, maybe two of them, said, $1 million, dude, you'll make that in a year. What do you mean? Like, have you seen what you're doing? You'll make that back you'll make that equity back in a year. It's not real anyway. It's not in your pocket. Yeah. It won't be till you're 60.
And it's not really yours. They control it.
Yeah. Correct. Until it's yours. Right. Correct. Yeah. So you'll make that back in a year, maybe two. So now what are you going to do? I was like, oh, fuck. I guess I'm going to quit.
Do you think you made it back in a year?
Oh, I made it more than that in a year.
I think 6 months.
I did, right? Because of partnerships I found within Gobundance. I found the community, right? So yes, I think I made all of that back, income and equity wise. I made all that back and more. But more than that, man, I gave myself time. I gave myself freedom. I gave myself alignment with who I truly am, the lifestyle that I truly want to an extent. I think there's another level I haven't gone to yet, but we can
What's
get
holding
into
you back from going to it?
I don't know. I don't know. Do you feel that too? You have something in you?
Yeah, for sure.
I think the thing that the easy answer on this is fear, but I want to make that more. I think the reason I fear going to the next level is because I know the person that's inside, that animal inside, the intensity, the singular focus, the isolation that I'll take from family, friends, the lack of balance that I'll go into, like that's a raving lunatic. The next level, not even the next level, my full potential requires the raving lunatic in me, which is always sitting right here, ready to come out. And I fear what he does to all the other parts of my life.
Do you think that's the only way to get there?
Yeah. To that level, yeah. I don't think there's, to that level. I think you can incrementally improve. You think you can have a great life without going there. But do you know of a billionaire that's balanced?
I don't know many billionaires.
I'm just saying, even publicly.
I mean, look, I think it's very hard to understand someone's balance when you're looking at them through media. You know, like Richard Branson is somebody that hypothetically looks very balanced, right? He's playing tennis, he's windsurfing, he's doing all these things, but I'm not behind the curtain to know if he's really balanced or not. I mean, he's got multiple assistants or like maybe he's balanced, but is balance even achievable?
You're talking about today. Like once you're on the other side of something, you could potentially buy yourself back, whatever. We just had this billionaire talk today at this event down in Austin. And he expressed, my grow time was 18-hour days. He's like, I had a bunk bed in my office. I literally lived in my office building this thing. And he was asked the question, if you could give the advice to your younger self, what would you do differently? And he goes, I don't think there is anything different to do. You know?
So then if you are on your deathbed looking back at 46-year-old Jamie Gruber, what advice is nearly dead Jamie telling you to do now?
It's not to go to that level. You know, it's you know, like there's levels I haven't gone to that don't require that maniacal psycho to come out. Definitely. And that's more like, I don't know, imposter syndrome, you know, procrastination, you know, fear of short-term loss for long-term gain, you know, fear of getting out of your comfort zone, like basic stuff.
Yeah.
I don't, like, I'm aware of that fear. Sure. Like, I'm afraid to get out of my comfort zone. I'm afraid of, like, what if somebody judges me? But if I'm being really honest, the thing that scares me most is I know that if I unleash what's in me, I eliminate a lot of people in my life in a bad way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just not willing to go there. So old me would tell me now, as I think through it and actually kind of try to feel my way to 85, you know, like
90. Come on, give yourself 90. Yeah,
grow, but don't go there. It's not worth it. For some it is. For some it is. For some people, they can't harness that, and that's great. But for me, it's not. Maybe there's a point in life where I do, but not right now.
One of the things I think that you said is beautiful is like you create your identity, then the result comes.
Yeah.
Now, I think a lot of us have the ability to change our identity internally, but we have fear to share it externally.
Yeah.
Now, you recently kind of wrestled with this. You were talking about when you fly in an airplane, you sit next to people, what do you do?
Yeah.
How has your life changed once you've owned that identity both internally and externally versus just honing it internally and being afraid to share it with the world?
The everything else gets sabotaged. That's not that. Here's a great example. So to your point, it's like my airplane test.
Yeah.
What I say to myself in my bedroom when nobody's around and nobody's going to judge me might be at one point like a podcaster. That's my identity. Yeah. Even though my income, my efforts, my work was all in real estate, but I really love podcasting. The podcasting is not paying me anything, but that's the identity I wanted to claim. I really wanted that. But when I got on a plane, I'm sitting next to somebody and I'm flying out of Punta Cana or whatever, and they're like, so what do you do? Like this, you know, person in a button-down shirt, you know, that looks very professional. Like, I don't want to say I'm a podcaster. Right. It sounds goofy. But I know that if I do, that I've leveled up that claim to that identity. So I started doing that. I'm a podcaster. And some people would ask some really condescending questions, or at least I perceived them as condescending. Some people would say some stupid shit. A lot of people were really inspired by that, to be honest with you. But what instantly started happening was the real estate stuff started falling away. You know what I mean? Like it was getting sabotaged. So I stepped back from my role with Quantum, for instance, in marketing and capital raising, right? I had to step back from that because like everything was rolling toward this. Yeah. Today, podcaster is a component, but I really like the word creator as an identity.
So when you were telling people on the plane, I'm a podcaster, at some point did that not really resonate and like light you up? And is that what helped you create the awareness of you're a creator? Or was it just naturally you kind of moved that way?
No, I think so. No, it's not that it didn't light me up, but it's like anything. Like you don't know until you do. Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of ready, fire, aim, not ready, aim, fire. I think you learn after you fire and then you can aim. Yeah. So for me, podcaster felt like a big, scary, crazy identity. And so when I did it, I said it, and it's true. I love podcasting. I love the art of podcasting. One of my favorite things to do. But even beyond that, I realized like it's one component of things I like to do around being creative. So at the end of the day, I like to say I'm a creator. I'm a content creator, something like that. Like that feels like the true alignment of identity for me as creator. Podcaster is a component of that. Yeah. So it's not that podcaster didn't feel good. It maybe just felt like, man, it's a step forward, but it's not the full step forward.
Yeah, it's like a subcategory of the category.
Correct. And maybe there's something beyond that, I don't know. But right now, content creator feels very aligned.
Well, from my perspective, I listened to many of the podcasts you hosted. You not only were very good at asking questions, you did a ton of work leading into the interviews. Like you really studied, you took it very seriously. And many people that I've talked to said you are one of the best interviewers they've ever heard. Right. Now, they never said you were the best, unfortunately, but you were one of the best, right? And you interviewed hundreds of people. I don't know the amount. It was 400 people. Yep. What would you say the number one lesson you learned from all those interviews would be?
Boy, number one.
Top three, if it's easy.
Top three?
Yeah, that's easy.
Collaboration, manipulation, and abundance.
Tell me about manipulation.
Those are my
favorite word.
I know it is. Influence might be the better phrase or the more socially acceptable phrase or whatever. The tip of it was the CIA guy, Andrew Bustamante. Like he got deep into manipulation, like the actual phrase, like how marketing manipulates you and so on and so forth. I would say that what I learned from him and from that interview, and then after that interview, kind of going back to other interviews and even future interviews that I had, it's like, this is a kind of a you principle. Like we're all trying to get something from somebody, right? Yeah. And the person who is the most effective with manipulation, influence, whatever phrase you want to use.
I love manipulation. Just most people hate it. I think it's the best word ever.
It's what it is, right? Yeah. Now you can use manipulation in a positive way. You can use it in a negative way, or at least how somebody might assign meaning to that. But you can use manipulation that is not in the best interest of somebody, and manipulation that is in the best interest of somebody. But what I loved about it was he was talking about at one point, hey, look, if the economy is bad, and this is happening, well, I can determine the attributes of my offer that best serve bad economy. Now, if the economy turns around and it goes good, then I know what attributes of my offer serve good economy, right? Like why you should in a good economy. Yeah. So that to me was really something. Initially, it probably felt a little bit like you're tricking people, but if you believe in what you have, if you believe in your product, if you believe in whatever it is that you offer to the world, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's the right way to go about it. Like get more people in it. The methodology is less important than the impact that it'll make. So manipulation was a big one. Collaboration and manipulation was like introduced to me by Christopher Lochhead, CMO for multiple tech companies, and like in my face with Grant Cardone. Collaboration. Yeah. When I went to his office, 10X Studios, to do the podcast with Cardone, I mean, everything there felt like him. The doorman, the people at the front desk, the bullpen with all the salespeople, right into that office, into that studio. And I asked him a question at one point, based on probably the Christopher Lochhead interview from like 2 years before, and I said, "Hey, when you are confronted with the category king, do you go directly at that category king or do you try to create a new category?" And he said, "Man, in the beginning, it was all about competition." He's like, and I would go right after that category king. He goes, "Now I've learned the power of collaboration." He's like, "So I'd rather carve out a new category and partner than go directly at that category king." So the combination of the idea that we all can own a category, and I'll get into that in a second because there's something really interesting in that, but also that collaboration beats competition from a guy that like him, love him, hate him, whatever, is a true billionaire. And even I probably have 5 billionaires that I've met. All of them are very collaborative. So collaboration was another lesson that I learned in that. And that abundance was the third. But
talk to me about the category piece.
Yeah. So when Christopher Lochhead, I interviewed him, he was talking about how 74% of all attention and revenue in a specific category goes to the category king. Kleenex owns tissues, whatever. When you carve out a new category, 26% then are fighting everybody else is then fighting for 26% of that category, right?
Right.
But if you're one of those 26% who say does tissues with lotion in it, like Puffs Plus, now you got a new category. Yeah. Now you're the king of tissues with lotion, right? Yeah. So it's a matter of like finding the category and becoming the king of that category instead of trying to fight for attention in that category. My personal brand, I am absolutely the category king in my personal brand.
What category?
Dominican Republic real estate investing and lifestyle, specifically. Yeah. There's a lot of lifestyle people. A lot of people that talk about minimalist lifestyles. A lot of people that talk about moving there. A lot of people that talk about vacationing there, best resorts, this, that, and the other. When I go into ChatGPT and I ask it for examples of topics based on news cycles or news articles I've seen, it'll often spit out like, here's a video you might be interested in, and it's my video.
Wow.
Crazy.
How does that make you feel?
Amazing that I've carved out that category. Yeah. But that was all lessons from the podcast. Like understanding, like, don't go at the category king. There's plenty of people in the influencer space in my niche that are like, oh man, the Dominican Republic, moving there, living there, da-da-da-da. None of them are going macroeconomic or microeconomic on what's happening in the U.S. economy that impacts the Dominican economy. What semiconductors are doing, coming from China into the Dominican Republic. A company called World Emblem, largest logo manufacturer in the world, just moved operations from China to Santiago, Dominican Republic. I did a video on it. Wow. The CEO of World Emblem just called me and asked me if I would interview him.
Wow.
Like that's category king shit.
Yeah. And then that's created really cool opportunities for you, like helping to partner on developments and sneaker deal. I haven't seen you wear the sneakers though, but you got
I got to go to New York soon for
that. You got a sneaker deal. I mean, by owning the category, by owning your identity, doors have opened up that probably 3 years ago you would have said, nah, the CEO of World Emblem is not going to call me.
Right. 100%. Yes.
But you had to stake your claim.
You do. You have to. Yeah. If you're just a noise in the room, then, like with what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You've got a Joe Rogan-esque type experience. Brandon Turner's doing this. Theo Vaughn's doing this. So many people are doing this. But the uniqueness of the ranch is the category. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's experiential podcasting. I mean,
Correct.
we just had a podcast before you. They were ripping around on the four-wheelers, driving the skid steer like you've gotten to do. And then you show up and what are we doing? We're shooting guns.
Right.
I mean, there's a guy here that lives in Portugal that's never shot a gun, sends a video to his wife and she goes, are those real guns?
Yeah.
I mean, like we're in Texas. Of course they're real guns.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is the opportunity I think I saw and learned from you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I learned from you, which I think is a really cool concept, is when you look at Jamie Gruber's balance sheet, which we all talk about in Gobundance, on your balance sheet, Jamie Gruber, the brand, is one of your assets.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
You don't look at it as, hey, I'm social media. You don't look at it as, hey, I'm creating it. You look at it as, I am building an asset that will feed and provide for my family for a lifetime.
Yes.
What created that shift for you?
AES 2024. So the Austin Entrepreneurial Summit that you put on. So you, Matt, you created the show.
I didn't, but yes.
So Cody Sanchez goes up on stage. She's spoken at so many events, right? Like it's like they say, like, oh, I've heard her before.
Yeah.
I always challenge people, like you weren't the person that you are right now when you heard that person, and neither are they, right? So like it's like reading a book. Some people read a book every year because you're a different person. Yeah. So she's up there talking about brand as equity, and she told the story about Bad Bunny. You know Bad Bunny?
I know the name, but I mean, I know he's rapper-ish person. Thing.
You're like an old man in a young man's body.
Dude, I hate that kind of music.
That kind of music. Yeah. Anyway, Bad Bunny went to at least his representatives went to, I think, one of her companies, and they were talking about he's interested. He's interested in being a part of this and And she and her team were like, great. How much are you going to invest? And the team she tells a story that the Bad Bunny team laughed at her like, no. You pay us for the right for Bad Bunny to endorse your product, and he gets equity. Yeah. Right. And she just kind of, was blown away by that. So last year on stage, she talked about how people need to understand the value of brand in today's market and how you can exchange influence for equity. So for me, you go to conferences, people go all the time. Like I always look for I just need one thing. Yep. I'm not going to remember everything. People might want to go to every breakout. It's like, just allow one thing to hit you and then build that idea. So that was the one. I left with that. Went right to my pod, of course, right? I was like, guys, you know what? I'm thinking about this. I have developers that are reaching out and asking questions about my brand, this, that, and the other. It'd be interesting to get some equity from them in exchange for promotion. I'm like, what do you think? 10%, 20%? What should I ask? If somebody's got a $200,000 condo they want to sell in a building, 20 grand off, 40 grand off? What do you think? And one of the guys who's a developer is like, dude, if your brand was in my market, I'd give you the whole thing. I'm like, come on. He's like, just ask. So I go back to DR. I meet this person who's a developer. She's also in a bunch of other things. American expat, lived there forever. And she and I had this conversation about what she's doing. Loves my brand, sees what it is. She's like every real estate person in the world. They don't know how to market, right? I do. I've got an audience. So nervously, I was going to say hey, I'm interested in doing a deal, maybe 10, 20%, right? Nervously, I go to her. What would it take in exchange for my promotion to just get a unit, just an apartment unit of the building you're building in that we just went and visited? And I was so nervous. She goes, you signed for it. Like, what do you mean? She's like, it's yours. Anything else? She's like, it's yours. Okay. So now what? She's like, yeah, tell me what you want to do. Show me what you want to put out into the world, how you want. I'm like, man, all I want to do is go every month. I want to document the build. I want to show what's going on. I love doing that. I want to show the next level and when the walls are built and when the furnishings are in or whatever. And then I'm going to furnish it. I'm going to, my first Airbnb guest, there's stories for months on this. Yeah. All promoting what you're doing with that building and your broader development company. She's like, I'm in. Great. Yeah. So that to me was like, holy shit. We're in a world where Goldman Sachs recently wrote an article about a year ago saying that the creator economy is going to double from $250 to $500 billion by 2027. By 2032, it'll be at $1 trillion. You know what else is at $1 trillion or a little bit more? Pharmaceuticals. So the motherfuckers in this world that look at me as some sort of TikTok dancer, oh, it's cute, this little add-on extra to your business, social media. I would say to you, if you could get into pharmaceuticals at $300 billion, when you knew today it's going to be at 1.4 trillion, and you had an opportunity to capitalize at 300 billion on what today is 1.4 billion, would you laugh at it? No, you would say, boy, that's a serious business.
Yeah.
YouTube, brand building businesses, the asset class of brand is the next frontier. It's the fastest growing industry in the world. And when you're getting into a place of pharmaceuticals are 1.4 trillion, auto is 4 trillion. 4 trillion. That's big. It's 4 times the size of what brand will be in a few years. But still, like, you're in the trillions game here, right? Like, you're not far off from auto.
Yeah.
Nobody laughs at auto. Nobody would start an auto dealership as like an aside.
No.
Something that they do kind of over here and dabble in it. They would go full in.
Yep.
But they don't do that with brand.
Yeah, which gives you an unfair advantage, right? Like
100%.
every day, thousands of channels are coming online.
Yeah.
But multiples of those thousands are dropping off.
Yes.
And you're committed to it for the long haul.
Big time. And I've doubled down. I'm at 4 videos a week on YouTube. I release something every day on Instagram. There's a lot of intentionality around it. It all has a core message. It all drives to a certain funnel. So it's not just like, make something fun and make a video. They all lead to something.
Do you have any fear? Do you have any fear of your audience being on platforms you don't own and control?
My audience? Yes, of course.
Like you lose your login tomorrow.
Yeah. 100%. That's why you need to get them off platform.
Yeah. So how do you do that?
I do it with an email list, with my newsletter. So, I drive them to my newsletter. I'll do a video. There might be some specific information in order to get the most value from that video in the newsletter. So they enroll for the newsletter. If I'm doing some sort of wait list for something, I build a wait list. That wait list goes on my newsletter. So definitely getting them off platform.
And then how often do you download that newsletter database and save it in a place that you can
Once
have
a month. So
you're very systematic, very. Because you look at it as an asset.
100%. That is my audience. Yes. It all goes down tomorrow. I have access to that audience.
Have you gotten an insurance policy on this kind of
stuff? Not yet. I do. So it's funny. There's a few different ones. There's a what's the one that CoffeeZilla didn't get, and now he's being sued by Logan Paul? Defamation.
Okay.
Defamation insurance. Yeah. You should get that.
Yeah.
I should get that. There is a few other policies that you can get in the creator space. I can't remember. And even my CPA this year, I'm switching to a creator CPA because my CPA is a real estate. She doesn't understand.
Yeah. She's good at what she does, but she's not a category king at running.
Correct.
Creator.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So it's a business. It's a full on. What's your boss's thing? I do, we do, they do.
Yeah.
It's that. Yeah. But too many people, I think, that have businesses and they see the ability for social media to build that business, they go right to they do. They don't want to be an I or a we in that. They go right to I'll hire the team. I'll bring in the people. We'll do the thing. You got to I do, we do, they do. I think that with some exceptions, you can, like you have, you have somebody, that producer. I have an editor. I've never edited my own stuff. Yeah. But generally speaking, you got to be in it. You got to know what your stats are, what's working, what's not. When does it fall off? When does it not? What's the right hook? Study the craft,
Yeah.
So
have you always been a studier? Because you really study the craft.
Yeah, curious. I've always been curious. I've always wanted it. I see it in my kids now. It's especially my older one. He just goes down these rabbit holes. So curiosity has always been a trait.
And then the other thing I want to touch on real quick is the economy. You kind of alluded to this earlier about like things only have the meaning we give them. And then you talked a little bit about how in a bad economy, I can shift my offering to take advantage of it. In a good economy, I can shift my offering. There's a lot of people that are fearful right now of what's going on. Uncertainty, the tariffs, Trump's, Bitcoin, who knows what's like. The U.S. currency is going to fall off. What's going to happen? Interest rates, they're never going to lower them. They're going to increase them. What's your perspective on the economy, being somebody that no longer lives in the United States full time and is able to sort of see the forest through the trees rather than just see trees?
It's hilarious to me to watch economy and politically, to be outside and looking back in. Yeah. It's hilarious to watch. If you look at the economy, what people are looking at with the economy is an extreme zoomed in, like 1 to 2 week prospectus on it, right? It's bouncing around like this. Zoom out to a year. The Dow, the S&P, whatever. Zoom out to a year. Zoom out to 5 years. So right now, as we sit, the S&P dropped, I don't know how many percentage points in early April of 2025. It's back now, right? Yeah. There's all this, whatever. The right is like, see, the left is like, whatever, the whole thing. But everyone's freaking out. Trillions lost in 401ks. And like my pod said, like $1 million you're giving back is not yours. Yeah. You're not using it. You don't need it. Yeah. But let's say there are people out there that do. They're going to retire, right? I'm going to assume that those people right now have been in the market for 30 years. Well, if you go back 30 years, do you know how much the S&P has grown from 30 years ago? Do you have any sense?
Hundreds of percents.
It's 20 times.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. 20x. I don't know what the percentage is on that.
2,000 maybe?
2,000?
Maybe something like that.
Percent, right?
20,000?
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
20x. It was $2,000.
Yeah.
It's 40,000. If you're sitting at and haven't invested at 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10,000, and you're at 36,000, which is a massive drop, or 44,000, which is a massive hike.
Yeah.
Does it really matter? You know, like, yeah, it'd be better if it's at 42, 43, 44 to cash out than at 36. But if you're in it long term, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So looking back in from another country where politics are discussed, but they're not personal, people just have a discussion and then they actually have a drink. It's no big deal. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Looking in from that perspective, because it's all driven by politics, the U.S. economy, all of the noise around it is crazy. I think the U.S. economy, I mean, this is just my take. I think it's stronger than people realize. I think it's about to go stratospheric. I think that the hand-wringing and the fear-mongering and the maybe I should need to hold on to my cash and all that shit makes no sense. I mean, you have to have a baseline, have some savings, have some small bills in case the world ends, like in Portugal and Spain when they were out of power for 24 hours mysteriously, right? Like, sure, prep a little bit, but then live.
Yeah.
This economy is going to come back. Like, I don't know. I just think that this idea that, you know what, it's hard right now because of the economy to sell something. It's hard to, that's all bluster. That's all an excuse. Because for whoever it's hard for, there's somebody that it's easy for. So just pivot your message to that person.
So how are you doing that for yourself? How are you pivoting your message? How are you staying safe? What moves are you making in your personal life?
I'm all in on my brand, to be honest with you, because the brand, again, if you think about it, what my whole theory is or what I'm doing is saying, I don't need money to own, right? I need influence to own.
Yeah.
I don't know of an influence recession. Has there ever been one?
Not yet, but I mean, influence is relatively newish, like in the influencer space. I mean, influence has always been around, Michael Jordan,
Sure.
Jordans, but really, I think it's come on in a bigger way. Will we see a recession?
Recession's not the right word for it. You could see corrections. You could see algorithmic shifts on
correct.
platforms. You could see a lot of different things that happen. But influence in general, I mean, were there not radio advertisements in the Great Depression?
I wasn't here.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah. No, I
Were there
agree
not
with you.
TV advertisements through the Vietnam War? Were
Yeah.
there not TV advertisements and online ads during the '08 recession? Was there not more,
There's probably more.
right? Money spent on entertainment during the pandemic?
Well, because people use that fear and the eyeballs glued to the fear as a way to say, okay, we've got eyeballs. Now let's go utilize those eyeballs to drive them where we want.
That's one. Or you can entertain through that.
entertainment,
But
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you're exerting influence, I don't know that you can really go wrong. Now, you can do it in the wrong way. You can, talk about the wrong topic. You can go after the wrong audience or not have any clarity on what your audience is. There's a lot of little things you can do within that. But no, I for me, it's continuing to build influence. I just see, there's infinite possibility economically, financially, when I think you're all in on influence.
And you gratefully handed over the reins of the podcast and said, hey, good luck, go for it, and helped, and we're very, very supportive. What do you miss most about the podcast?
This interview.
good at
The
it.
new show is more me. It's more, I call it my way. So it's more like me talking about topics that are of interest to me, occasional interviews. But I travel around. I remember going to Florida, stop in Miami to meet Grant Cardone and then drive over to Naples and interview Tito Ortiz. Like, that's fun shit, man. And like understanding them more than they understand themselves before you get there. For them to go like, I remember Grant Cardone says to me, dude, you've done your fucking homework. Like, he said that 4 different times in the interview. We edited that out, but he said it. And then Tito Ortiz, when I asked him a question going, dude, you've been researching me. Like, in a scary way, it's Tito Ortiz. When he's looking at you like, you've been researching me. I'm like,
Not
dude,
a small guy.
let me, huge. Jesse Itzler, Tom Bilyeu, all these guys, to like spend time on stage or in person with them. I love doing that. So I miss this. I miss this aspect of it.
Who was your favorite to interview?
Sean Casey. I think I've told you about him before.
Yeah, you got a little man crush on him.
Love Sean Casey, man. That guy, former MLB All-Star 3 times. He was a ton of fun to interview. Dr. Sherry Buffington, who wrote the book Law of Abundance. Fascinating interview. And then actually the next week I interviewed a lady named Sarah McCrum. She wrote a book, Love Money, Money Loves You. That's been just transformational for me. Wow. Incredibly transformational. And that interview was really, really interesting, and even something that came up that's sort of become real recently in life, which is interesting. They jump out.
Which one disappointed you the most? That you were looking most forward to, and it was just the stalest.
Early on, Gay Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap.
Yep.
So I remember I released the interview and was almost not going to. And he wasn't a dick or anything. It was just, he was all over the place. Like I was so prepared and I had these questions. Then he kind of filibustered and went on tangents and went left, right, up, down, all of that. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I released it anyway. So he was a tough one. Bill Yu was less than I expected it to be because similarly, he's like big brain guy. He goes all over the place and they're like trying to rein him in. Plus there's a countdown timer on stage and I want to get to audience questions. So that was a hard one because of where his brain goes. So I didn't love that interview.
Yeah.
Those jump out. You have one? It looks like you have one.
I mean, Tim Grover was probably, I thought, less than what it could have been.
True.
I mean, there's a lot of really cool experiences and stories that he has from his time with people like Jordan and Kobe and those kinds of things. And the story I'm telling myself is there was a lot of ego involved in the interview and he didn't really want to go to them because it took the spotlight off of him.
Nah, that was me. That was on me. And I'll tell you why that was on me. And part of the reason I stepped back from the podcast was I was finding myself needing to, and I don't know if it was again, a story I was telling myself. I was finding myself needing to serve the brand of Gobundance and therefore take the interview and sort of morph it into entrepreneurial lessons.
Yeah, I see.
More than what I really love, which is just conversation. Yeah. And I think what I saw was the podcast grew fast. And it grew with like some member interviews, and then I doubled down and I would do member and then non-member. And then I got into just this conversations, like just regular conversations, things I'm curious about. And it really grew. But at a certain point, it felt like when somebody would say to me, I listened to the podcast to get information about Gobundance, and they were like unclear about the relationship, I felt the need to serve the brand. So like with Tim Grover, if I were just to talk to him again, I wouldn't talk one thing about business with him. Yeah. It would just be basketball stories. That's it. Yeah. I started with a few, but then I kind of went into like, let me serve this audience, entrepreneur stories, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So that to me was on me, not on him.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons I had to step away from it was like, I'm starting to like manufacture the interview versus being natural in it. So.
Yeah. Tom Bilyeu was another fascinating one. I mean, just actually a very introverted human.
Yeah.
I remember when he came down from his room to speak, he was listening to a book on tape. And as soon as he was done, he put his headphones back on and walked listening to a book on tape, which I like applaud. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it seemed he lives in the clouds and you were trying to like bring him down and get like tactical stuff. But
that was just hard. I'll take the blame for me because I agree with you on Grover that like I steered him in a different path. But he was hard, Bilyeu, because it was a lot of theoretical. He would reference all these books. Like all he does is like ingest. Yeah. And like when he has the moment to speak, it's just, he vomits. Yeah. So it was like, dude, take this down a step. Like he's talking Web3 concepts and crypto on a level that like I don't understand, let alone the audience and whoever's listening on the podcast, right? What's interesting about him too is you've seen him shift his content recently. I think because of that. Yeah. His content has gotten a little bit more, I don't know, like leveled down.
Dumbed down.
Yeah, dumbed down. It's not so in the clouds because I think he was starting to isolate his audience. Like it started really good. And then, it went to a place where he got really deep into these weeds of tech and Web3 and crypto and NFTs and yada, yada, yada. And he's reined that in quite a bit recently. So yeah, that was a tough interview.
Yeah, I thought Jesse Itzler was awesome.
Jesse's easy. Jesse's wind him up, let him go. The only thing I think that I did, well, not the only, but the thing I think I do well with an interview like him, and even in all of them, like, it's not like you have control over every interview, but you have to know where to interject, when to step in, how to wind them up, how much you need from them. So Itzler is ready. He's ready. He's got his stories. He's got his misogi. He's got all these things like ready to go. So one of the things I've always done in interviewing is rather than ask the question of like background, tell me a little bit about this. Here's something I read about you. A lot of research podcasts will do that. Tell me about it. It's like, no, you're wasting time. Yep. So take all of the things that you learned about them, compile them, and then figure out what the deeper question is on that. So the thing that set Jesse off in a great way, like set him off on a path, was the question of, hey, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, all of which were in the category space, like their own category. I asked him, is that a natural, innate thing where you create categories, or is it intentional? I asked him, is it intentional or innate for you to kind of carve out your own category? And that launched him on entrepreneurship, and then he just ran.
Yeah.
So it was like the nice handoff. It was a perfect handoff to the running back, and he
But you took away the opportunity for him to say, let me tell you about when I launched Zico.
Correct.
Let me tell you about when I launched
When you watch
NetJet.
some interviews, man, he has to go into that. And it's like, why? Like, he's told that story. Go hear it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could summarize it quickly. You did Zika water sold to Coca-Cola. You did, I forget the jet company. You're the first card-based jet company, private jet company. And even his books, Living with a SEAL, Living with a Monk, like it's a Living with a series, right? It's sort of its own category in the book department. That's where I came up with that question. Wow, you always do something a little unique. Is that innate or intentional? And he's like, no, it's entrepreneurship. That's what I am. You know? So that was a great answer that he gave, and he went with it.
Everybody that's listening to this can go back and access all those interviews. And there's a ton of gold.
Under the Matt King show now.
There's a ton of gold. Because again, I, like you, didn't want to be stuck having conversations that only serve, Gobundance. Like, look, I love the Gobundance community. It's absolutely changed my life. Some of my closest friends are in that community. Some of the hardest advice and feedback and criticism I've received is from that community. And it's like near and dear to my heart. I feel as though I've been raised by it.
Yeah.
But I think the best way to serve that community is to be unapologetically myself, which means the conversations are going to go into places like religion. The conversations are going to go into places about beliefs and identities and all these things, because somebody listening somewhere needs to hear that message today. And who am I to not let them listen to that? Because I have an agenda of like, here's my 13 questions. We got to get to this one every single time. I mean, even when we set out to do the show, one of the questions I wanted to ask every single guest was, where in your life are you most flirting with disaster? I absolutely love that question. And there was one interview where I just like didn't feel right to ask it. And then I was reflecting on in my journal after, like, why didn't it feel natural? I'm like, because I don't want to be that episode. That's like, these are the 7. Let's get to the rapid fire round, Jamie. So what's the best book you ever read? Tell me your favorite quote. What song do you listen to before you speak? Like, that just doesn't resonate with me.
Yep.
I want to be interested in it. I want to be curious. So what's next for Jamie Gruber?
It's all on the personal brand side. And I think it's multiple feeds off of that. So there's my personal brand talking about, life in the Dominican Republic. I think that has a shelf life. I don't think that's a forever thing, but I'm learning a ton about YouTube. I'm learning a ton about building brand. I'm learning a ton about funnels, getting people off platform. So it's awesome. And I'm making some money doing it. The thing that's sort of adjacent to that is we call it Grub with Gruber. Right now it's an interview series, but I'm feeling, I've done about 12 of them and they're fine. But what I've learned, this is kind of crazy to say, is the issue within that, within the personal brand with featuring somebody else is, unless that interview is somehow about me, it's less interesting to the audience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
They're coming for Jamie.
They're coming for me.
Yeah.
That's a lesson I've learned over 12 interviews. My coach, Bo, who we both have, he's been telling me that, but I've learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
So I see Grub with Gruber being more of my version of Anthony Bourdain, my version of Somebody Feed Phil, where I've started to go out and, like, I did an episode the other day at a restaurant where I tested 7 different tequilas, and I rated them. Like, that's more what Grub with Gruber will be. So
which one did you like the most?
I forget the name of it. Cielo?
Okay.
Or Cierto? Something like that. I forget the name of it.
Might be Tolliver's.
Huh?
Might be Tolliver's.
No, he's Siempre.
Oh, okay.
Which means always. So, like, I see that, like, as an adjacent thing. And then I love podcasting. So My Way, which, Gobundance is sponsored. My Way, that podcast, which I've been, like, up and down on the exact way I'm doing it. Interview, don't interview, man. I've been working so hard on something that's, like, not even really fully out in the world yet. But that is like me. It's not, I need to serve this audience who wants to move to Dominican. It's not, this is really an interesting way for me to take brand and be strategic with it. Like, I can go beyond the Dominican with food. I can go anywhere with food. But, I love food and all of that. This is just like, I don't give a fuck if you hear me, other than the sponsorship, of course. I don't give a fuck if you hear me. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's my way.
Yeah.
This is how I see whatever it might be that I decide to do. My issue with that is I got to make sure I'm not going too crazy on, like, I'm going to review a rap video today or whatever. But you get my point. Like, that is like me, legacy, long term. It's the reason I stepped away from Tribe of Millionaires, because I was serving a brand.
Yep.
I was starting to feel like I was serving a brand.
Yep.
And
well, and you said it best. People don't follow brands. People follow people.
100%.
And so, like, you going and doing My Way will actually resonate with more people that you want to be in your proximity. And the ones that don't resonate with, you don't want them in your following anyways.
100%.
Like you don't. It's like trying to convince somebody that doesn't like ice cream to eat ice cream. You're not going to get them to. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it is it's like such a compilation of learnings. Like, oh, I know exactly how to use YouTube with my way to get maximum reach. Exactly how, I know exactly what to do from a podcasting perspective. I know how to structure it. I know how to, if I do interview, I know how to run that interview. I know how to cut those interviews in order for them to be the most effective, efficient, YouTube specific type of content, Right. So yeah, that's where I'm going. YouTube is my vehicle right now, but always looking, how do I get them off platform? What do I sell them? Where do I push them? What do I give them to get them off platform for sure?
And then the last thing I want to touch on is you just left an Emerge event.
Yeah.
Interviewed a billionaire from stage. And Emerge was kind of your brainchild, if you will, inside of the Gobundance community. And I think it was because you saw that people where you were at in your life prior to qualifying for Gobundance weren't being served, weren't being met.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about what you've created with Emerge and what your vision is for it.
This is what I love about Emerge. Like right now, I'm here interviewing with you, right?
Yep.
While a billionaire is presenting to 60 people from the Emerge community in downtown Austin. So what we've created is Gobundance.
Yes.
It's a Gobundance community, Emerge, Elite, Champion, right? And what I mean by that is like I kicked it off. It was all me, only me for a while. We built a team. We're growing. We've got our fits and starts. Sales have been tough, all that stuff. But we're trying to onboard people with this. But it's become now, and this is your phrase. I love your phrase. For members, by members. So Andrew, who's the regional leader for the Texas chapter, is leading this event. He and the billionaire, JD, chatted. I wasn't involved. Kyle, who's our community leader, member ambassador, he gave a talk at the beginning of it to make sure everybody's clear on it. And he's running things day to day in that regard. I've got the marketing guy. I've got the operations guy. I've got all these people in the background running it. So I get to show up and do what I love, which is my identity, what is my identity?
Creating.
That's what I do. I do my monthly town hall. I create, content for people. I leverage connections to bring them in and serve the community. Different content series that we have every week. I handle the onboarding because I get to meet and interact with these people and influence them as new members of Emerge. So where it's going is just, hopefully to the moon. We're kind of tagged on with you guys with Gobundance Elite Champion, of course, to kind of grow. But I love what it's becoming. It's not about me. We have a regional chapter leader, like that leads the regional chapters, right? Like a member that's leading all the regional chapters. And then we have a member leading each regional chapter. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
it's
I love
amazing,
that.
man. Yeah. I love, so many people, and I'll just speak for myself, but I'm sure it's true for you too. On my journey, so many people reached down and helped me up. They pulled me up. And I feel like for a while, Gobundance wasn't necessarily filling or serving that need, right? It was kind of like, hey, if you qualify, great. If you don't qualify, here's some other possible opportunities, but we're not really attached to any of those.
Yep.
And so what's really cool from my perspective, leading Gobundance and leading this community is you raised your hand and said, we need to reach our hand down.
Yeah.
And not in like a derogatory, not like a negative way, but like, hey, people helped us on the journey. We need to help others on the journey. And so we have members in Elite and Champion that are coming back to do millionaire case studies with the Emerge people. We have members in our community that are hiring the Emerge people, partnering in business with the Emerge people. Yeah. Emerge people that are going to people's houses and saying, that blew my freaking mind. I never thought it was possible to have an entire wall be the picture of what happened at a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Yeah. Like, experiences are being made, creations are being made, opportunities for these people to see other opportunities that they've been limited from their entire lives has all been created because of your doing.
Yes, and I think you need to take more credit for that. Meaning, all right, so you and I met, a year and a half ago in Chicago?
Would have been last June, July, year and a half.
Was it?
Yeah, almost a
No,
year.
It wasn't July 2024?
Yeah, that was when the Chicago Champions was.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it wasn't Chicago. It was a tribal council. I guess it was tribal council ahead of Champion. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
That was the first time I actually think I got to know who you are. Sitting down with you.
Allegedly.
To the extent that it's possible to know you. To the extent that it's possible to know you. Before that you were protective of your ego, protective of look, you're in a position. You have been in a position where you sit at the right hand, going back to the Jesus God thing, of God of Gobundance, right? Of David Osborne, $250 million guy. Everybody is such a dynamic New York Times best-selling author. So you're the guy that to get to him, people have to go to. So naturally, everybody has their hand out. Naturally. Then you take over Gobundance, and even more hands are out, right? So the interactions with you as you took over, for me, were, hey, look, Emerge is being kind of kicked to the side. It's been kicked to the side. And it was kind of beating my head against the wall a little bit in the beginning in our conversations, because again, you're looking at it like hands out, his hands out, something's going on here. You know, what the fuck? What's his agenda? What's the agenda? What's the agenda? When you and I sat in Chicago and, you know, I'm not getting into the details of it, but just had a real raw, honest, down to earth, you know, conversation. And I got to know, and probably for you as well, like the boy behind the man. The damaged boy behind the man for both of us. That opened up a lot as far as, I think, trust. And man, I hopefully I haven't violated it too much, but that's been something I've really, really made sure that I've held on to, is like, you know, no matter what it is, I don't want to get to a place where I give you any excuse to go back to the place where you don't trust. Because I don't think you have anybody in your life to trust. Maybe your wife.
I trust people to be themselves.
Okay, but who do you trust with your best interest?
Definitely my wife.
You sure?
My kids, maybe.
No, you can't. They're not. Don't put that on them.
But honestly, dude, my kids, I'm pretty connected with my kids. A lot of people see my life and they go like, oh, I'm like you. I give my kids a lot of like what's going on. And I trust that they're going to give me their best perspective on it. But more than that, I trust that regardless of what happens, they're going to love me. And to me, like, that's the ultimate trust. Like trust to me is like, I got your back no matter what happens. That's my kids.
Correct. Okay. Your wife, who else?
That's probably it.
Right? I mean, I'm not in that category either. You don't have that kind of trust in anyone other than your wife. I think you need more people than your wife to have that trust in. Again, it's okay to understand, like you said, I trust somebody to be themselves. It's okay to understand that there's always an agenda. So when you and I talk, I always talk about that. Like, look, here's my agenda. This is clearly the benefit to me.
That's what,
Right? This is where I see the benefit to me. And that's not to trick you or whatever. That's to make sure that I'm maintaining trust. But from that conversation forward, you know, my whole thing has been, man, look, I think what we're doing in Emerge has been considered like other than Gobundance, and then there's Emerge. But I need it to be part of it. I think that's the best way for this entire community to thrive, right? And you've been extremely accepting, even despite recent stuff that out of both of our control, right? Fuck. But you've been extremely accepting, extremely welcoming, and I don't know if I tell you that enough, but I really appreciate that. So yes, you're right. I'm all in on it. We're throwing the rope down, but that rope doesn't get down if you don't allow for the whole of Gobundance to be a part of that.
But look, man, I've really grown to appreciate who you are. I've really grown to understand how you operate, what drives you. And more than anything, I've learned a ton from you. And so like being able to be in business with you, being able to partner on things with you, collaborate on things with you, minus the voice texts, I absolutely love interacting.
What is your issue with voice texts?
Here's my problem with voice text. If you want to talk, call me. If you want to text me. Don't call me in a medium that I have to listen to something that I should be able to read.
Never moved to Latin America.
Drives me fucking
Never
insane.
moved to Latin America. That's all we do.
I literally will respond to people and say, I don't listen to these. Like, because if I'm on a Zoom call, right? And you text me. Now, I shouldn't admit this, but I can answer your text while on a Zoom call.
Sure.
You send me a voice memo on a text call while I'm on a Zoom call. You've now just given me somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds of my life that I now have to go take to listen into that away from something else I could be doing.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah, of course.
You're also hard to get a hold of.
Oh, I know.
And so therefore, and you've explained to me that you hate voice texts.
Absolutely.
How many do I send?
You just sent one. That's the only reason I brought it up.
I know. My point is, if I'm sending you a voice text, knowing that you hate voice texts, and you're acknowledging that you're hard to get a hold of. I am too. You know, Brandon is coming today. Fucking guy. Like our texts are months apart. He texts, I respond 2 months later, and vice versa. But if those variables are in place, then it must mean that the voice text was highly intentional and highly important.
No, I agree.
Did you listen to it?
I did listen to it.
All right.
I actually listened to yours, but I didn't reply to it, but I listened to it. But that is the good use of voice text. My pet peeve with voice text is it's most people that are having a conversation with you, like, oh, sorry, the dog's barking, like, there's all this filler bullshit.
Dude, never moved to the
and it literally should be a 30-second text of like, hey, what do you want for dinner? And instead, it's 97 seconds long of, hey, what do you want? Oh, sorry, I forgot this. Hey, let me ask you a question. What do you have for lunch? And then next thing you know, it's like we're not having a conversation.
All right, all good. The other question I had for you is why did you just introduce that? Where were we going that you were uncomfortable? We were talking about you. We're talking about learning from one another. We're talking about collaborating a partnership. And then you felt the need to insert the joke on voice text. So where were you uncomfortable?
I don't remember where I was going. I was just giving you shit because I told you I didn't listen to it. But I actually
know,
did listen
but you
to it.
brought it up randomly, which to me means you were avoiding a feeling or an emotion or something.
No, I was just trying to like remind you of that. I told you I didn't listen to it. Like one of the things I really enjoy is, and it goes back to the word you learned from podcasting, manipulation.
Yeah.
I think manipulation is the secret sauce to everything.
Yeah.
And when I tell people that, like, I got super sideways with some of my friends when we had just gotten out of college. Like we were living in Austin, they were up in Wisconsin, and they all booked a trip to go to Napa or Sonoma. I don't know the difference, but we were going to like wine country
Next to each other.
and they had all had the plan. And then all of a sudden, like last minute, we got invited. And so we're like, yeah, sure, we'll go, whatever. And so we go up there and we're all drinking wine. And I started talking about manipulation. One of my friends like got super aggressive with me and he's like, that's disgusting. I'm like, look, friends are manipulating friends. And he's like, no, we're just friends. I'm like, that's bullshit. Because I said, you guys had this trip planned. Somebody must have backed out because you invited us very last minute. I'm like, so you manipulated me to fill that room to avoid the cost. But yeah, you like me. That's fine. Whatever. We'll have fun. But you manipulated me to come there. And I manipulated you to say, I would never book this trip myself. I'm going to come there and go to Sonoma. I'm like, that is manipulation. And that's okay. It's a good thing. And he got like, dude, didn't talk to me for almost a year. He got so sideways over that. He couldn't.
What brought you back together?
Just time.
Wow.
I think
Why is that? How does that serve you?
Serve me what?
The thought that you just had to look at everything through the lens of manipulation.
Because I just understand that the perspective is the reality.
But does that create just cynicism? Do you live a life of cynicism?
No, like I think you can manipulate for good all the time.
You can, but you're saying that you're patently aware at all times of what's happening from a manipulation standpoint.
Yeah.
Right. You're manipulating or being manipulated at all times.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it like numbers in the matrix.
Yeah.
So does that lead to you being cynical?
Possibly.
So does that lead to you not being able to have trustworthy relationships?
I think there's more that leads to not having trustworthy relationships
like what?
than that. Like past experiences and the labels I've given the past experiences.
Such as?
Losing one of my best friends when we were 23.
What does that have to do with?
Because I tied getting close to people, being super open and trusting of them to losing them. So now I'm afraid if I let somebody in, I'm going to lose them.
How did they die?
Pulmonary embolism from a torn ACL.
Okay. Oh, I think I remember you telling me about that.
So like, but those are the labels I'm currently working on.
What's the label? What's a more empowering label?
To peel back. Honestly, unfortunately, his death was one of the greatest gifts that ever happened to me because it showed me that we were only here for a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
We were living in this small town in Wisconsin. Everybody was having fun. We all hung out. We played soccer together in high school. We played soccer together in college. We played pickup soccer. Like that was all I knew was the world. I never knew anything more than that. And then when we lost Craig, I thought, holy shit, what if I go tomorrow? Like what regrets am I going to die with? To your point, like you don't have any regrets, but like, what am I going to wish I would have done? And I was like, I'm going to start living my life rather than I wish I would have bought a zebra of like, shit, I didn't know that zebras do this. Next time I'll do a little bit more research. And so for me, shifting that perspective has really been powerful, but I'm working now to undo the label or the meaning that we talked about earlier that I gave that death to justify it in my life at that moment.
Why?
Why am I? Because I think it's holding me back.
How?
Because I'm not getting open with people. I'm not letting people into my life because
good.
I have a fear that if I let them in, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. They're going to be gone.
The counter to that in my mind, and tell me if we got a wrap, by the way, are we good? All right. The counter to that in my mind is, have you ever considered what his life would have been like, short as it was, if he didn't have you?
Absolutely.
What do you come up with?
I mean, he would have been just fine, quote unquote, but our lives were better because each other were in it, which I think is beautiful, which I think is great. But again, the pain that I felt as a 23-year-old kid, didn't know who to go to, didn't know who to talk to, didn't know what these feelings I was feeling, were. Oh, then that's another organized religion thing that was really interesting to me. We went to his funeral and I will never forget the pastor's like, whatever you think of why Craig died, whether it's that God needed another soccer player, you're wrong. Like this was just his time. I'm like, okay, well, I'm 23. If I need to sleep at night and say, God needed another soccer player, so Craig died, like, just let me be with me. Like, just leave me alone. Yeah. But nonetheless, like, from my perspective, our lives were so much better because of each other. And all of our friends' lives were so much better because of his. And his life was so much better because of all of our friends. It was amazing. But in that moment, I felt so much pain that I didn't know how to communicate with anybody or talk to with anybody. And so my defense mechanism was, I'm just going to go internal and I'm not going to talk to people.
What's your relationship with him?
With Craig.
Yeah.
What was it?
What is it?
You know, I still think about him often, still talk to him randomly.
Yeah.
One of the cool things is I have his picture from the funeral on my visor, you know, like the flip down thingy.
Yep.
And so my kids know him. They could tell you the whole story about how he passed away. But we don't openly talk about losing him. My friends and I will talk about like the memories we had with him and stuff. But a lot of times, like every time before I speak, I think about like, man, like Craig would just walk on that stage with confidence, walk on the stage with confidence. Like, what would Craig say? Like, what would he do? So he was like very much like a role model. He was a couple years older than me. And so we always kind of looked up to him. And so it's still kind of like when I need that sort of inspiration or that motivation, it's just a conversation we have.
What is his relationship with you right now?
God, if you don't want to think like the guy, like I feel his hand on a lot of the things I'm doing.
As in, like what?
Like, I know where you're going with this, by the way.
Where am I going?
He didn't leave you. He hasn't left you.
No,
Okay.
it's not where
Well,
I'm
that's easily where you can go if you
going
choose
like
to go
Goodwill
there.
Hunting?
Yeah. If you choose to go there, that's where you can go. It's pretty easy. But like,
No.
yeah. No, I just feel
not your
like
fault.
I feel like not a safety blanket, but I feel like I got you at times. Like when I need that, I got you. I can feel that, and through the conversations or my mental journaling, all that stuff, I can feel like it's him.
What's the value to you for him today?
What is the value to him for me today?
Let me try that again. What is the value? Like, what value is in his life? What value do you add to his life?
I think just living the way that he would have lived. Just keep taking action, keep taking opportunities. Don't apologize.
Do you consciously do it with him in mind?
There's days, absolutely.
So is his legacy living on in you?
I would say a version of it.
Which version?
I mean, I probably could harness it more authentically, more frequently.
What do you mean authentically? That's interesting.
Well, look, I mean, one of the things we talk about is when we're achieving our level of success growing up, we think the way to accumulate success is say yes.
Yeah.
More things, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then we get all these things and we can't say yes to possibly everything. And right now I'm in a season of my life where my theme for the year is just say no. Because I need to say no to more things.
Sure.
The current version of me is like, hey, no, Jamie, I can't do that because I have a doctor's appointment. The answer is no, and just be done with it.
Sure.
And so like, that's how I could do it more authentically. But I'm working on that skill. Like we talked about earlier with Bo and with Eddie, like some of these things are muscles that develop over time. And you have to, I've been working really hard to remove judgment from myself and from others, and just working through things with like compassion and grace and like, yeah, I'm not that good at saying no right now. So I've built barriers around my life where literally I don't have my phone so that when somebody needs to say no as me, it's not me.
Yeah. Who survived him?
Both of his parents.
They still alive?
Yeah, both of his parents are still alive. His younger brother, who's still a year older than me, was my best man at my wedding.
Have you talked to them?
Yeah. I talk to him all the time.
What's the conversation like?
I mean, we talk about Craig. His younger brother is still older than me. He was my best man. We talk all the time about, sometimes it's about Craig. Sometimes it's like, hey, Craig would have loved this or would have been this, or hey, I was thinking about Craig. Sometimes it's like, who you betting on for golf? I mean, we play golf together. He lives in Wisconsin. We talk about kids. Everything under the sun.
When I quit my job, it wasn't anybody that close to me, but a guy I knew named Paul that died.
Yeah, I remember that.
49 years old, 48 years old, whatever he was, of a heart attack. And we were very similar type of people. We faced similar challenges with the types of bosses that we had as a result of that. So we found a lot of solace in conversations that we had professionally, and then that morphs into personally. So when he died, it was really jarring. Not because I was best friends with him, or I don't even know who his wife was. I mean, I knew he was married and he had kids, but didn't know anything other than that about him.
Right.
But it jarred me, and that was the decision point where I said, I'm out. I got to quit. Who knows how long we have. I got to live my life now. Not long ago, I had it in my head because so much of what I have done has been with him in mind. I've talked about him on stages. I just today mentioned him. He came up in conversation today. And a lot of if I look at my life today and were to route it back to a single point, this is post Gobundance, because I talk about Gobundance journey, but like quitting the job, and moving abroad, it came back to that moment when I learned that Paul died. So I had this thought that I want to talk to his wife. And the reason I wanted to talk to his wife was to say to her and make sure she understood that in whatever small way, your husband's gone. You know, it's been a few years, obviously. Your boys, 2 boys, are growing up without a dad. She has no idea, I don't know her, that not only do I speak of him, not only does he inspire me and motivate me on many things in life, but when I finally did get her on the phone, which was like I had to find a way to get her, and then it was I was like, she's not going to answer. Of course, picks right up, right? God, let's go with that.
Yeah.
She picks right up, and I tell her, and I broke down in tears, not expecting that. That would be just a regular casual conversation. But I said, I just need you to know that, I don't mean this to come off the wrong way, he's gone, but he lives on in everything that I do. So every step I take, everything that I do, Paul is living in that. Yeah. He's here for that.
Yeah.
This billionaire that just spoke, JD, he told me this story, and I hope he doesn't mind if he hears this, me sharing. He told me the story of his brother-in-law, his wife's brother. His wife's Mexican. His brother-in-law owned clubs in Mexico City, clubs and restaurants and that kind of stuff. Really well-to-do guy. The cartels started to really infiltrate that area. And at one point they wanted like more access to his restaurants, and he told them no. So one night when he turned his back, he was assassinated, bullet in the back of the head. Earlier that night when I was talking to this guy, JD, he was telling me about he doesn't eat pork, because I was saying, I would love to eat this. He's like, I'll do that. I just don't eat pork. And I thought, whatever, he doesn't like it. He's allergic to it, whatever. Later he explained, he goes, my brother-in-law, the one that was shot, was Muslim, and Muslims don't eat pork. He goes, so every time I'm faced with pork and I decide not to eat it, he's alive.
Yeah.
He's real. He lives on as a result of that.
Yeah.
I say all of that because I wonder, do you know, maybe yes or no, if his brother and his parents not only understand that you're honoring his legacy, but that every moment that you do that you're literally living his life, or he's living life through you, that he's living with every decision you make with him in mind. Do they know that?
I should probably reach out to them again. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was 2021. You did a merge event here in Austin. Evan Carmichael spoke, and you invited me to speak. And one of the exercises I had everybody do was I made them take out their phone and text somebody that needed to hear thank you, that they haven't thanked in a while. And that exercise literally came from, I had reached out to them like the week before to do just that. Like I just was, call it God, was reached out and just said like, they need to know this. And then a couple of years ago, we went down to Cabo as a bunch of friends group, and everybody was having a great time. It was the last night. We had dinner, all this stuff. Everything was great. And I just like, hey guys, I think we need to like talk about the elephant in the room. And I like just shared how I've been living my life because of that. And he's still living, and he's still like all those things. And I mean, there was 8 grown-ass men and 8 grown-ass women bawling like babies over carnitas or whatever we were eating. I don't know what we were eating. But, I don't think we could do that frequent enough. Yeah. And so probably doing it more frequently would be good.
Yeah. I feel like that's where you are. Like this lack of trust, or these, untrusted, or like no trusted advisors other than your wife for you. I just think, I don't know, man. But anyway, all of that was to say, I appreciate how much we have come along together since that meeting in Chicago, and how that's impacted how that has impacted the impact we're making on people.
Absolutely.
In Gobundance, in Emerge, Gobundance and Gobundance Emerge, if you will, right? And all of that. So
yeah, it's been an honor, man. It's really been a fun journey to be on with you. It's been fun to watch your hockey stick growth of your own personal brand. It's been even more rewarding to watch how fulfilled you are and how excited you are.
It's fun.
I always saw, Jamie Gruber, sort of the ghost of like, I'm here, but I'm not here. And now I see like Jamie Gruber, the man. Those guys were just here before, and you guys were talking branding and all this stuff. I mean, you light up like a Christmas tree. Yeah. And I just love seeing other people fulfill their dreams, their goals, especially inside of the Gobundance community, man. It's been an absolute honor.
I appreciate you, brother.